boys and girls! Would you like to play a guessing game with me? I have here a jar of jelly beans. Can you guess how many beans are in here? There's quite a lot. Go on, take a guess. The closest guess to the actual number is the winner. Okay, are you ready? Are all the guesses in? Let's go ahead and pour it out and find out how many jelly beans were in this jar. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 319, 320, 321. If you picked a number close to 321, congratulations! Great guesses, everyone. It was pretty hard to guess that, wasn't it? If we wanted to count how many items were in a jar of jelly beans, it would take quite a while, but we'd be able to do it. But what about counting how many hairs are on your head? That would take us forever. Or how about counting how many stars are in the sky? That would be almost impossible. In today's Bible story, we are going to see that God made an amazing promise for someone's family to grow to have more people in it than there are stars in the night sky. Have you ever made a promise? Maybe you promised to keep something safe for someone, or you promised to be somewhere at a certain time. A promise is when you tell somebody you will do something, and they can trust you to do it. In our Bible story, we'll see that God is pleased when we believe the promises that He makes. Our story comes from the book of Genesis, chapters 12 through 24. After the Tower of Babel, God came and spoke to a man named Abraham. God told Abraham to leave his home, his country, and his family to go to a new land. He promised that he would bless Abraham and make his family into a great nation that would bless the whole world. So Abraham did what God told him to do. One night, Abraham had a vision from God where God told him to look up at the sky. He said, "See all the stars up there? If you could count them, that's how many children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and descendants you will have." Abraham believed the Lord's promise, and it pleased God. Eventually, Abraham ended up in the land of Canaan, where God had told him to go. It was hard to continue to believe in God's promise because it took a very long time. But after many, many, many years, the Lord visited Abraham and his wife Sarah. Abraham and Sarah were getting old, but they still did not have any kids. But the Lord told Abraham that his promise was still going to come true. In 1 year, he would return and Sarah would give birth to a son. Sarah laughed when she heard this. She was almost 90. But just as God said, 1 year later, Sarah and Abraham had given birth to a son named Isaac, which means he laughs. Sometime later, God again spoke to Abraham in order to test him. He told Abraham to take his and Sarah's only son Isaac and to offer him to the Lord as a burnt offering on a mountain in the land of Moriah. Abraham rose early in the morning and took off with Isaac to the place that God had said. 3 days later, they arrived. They went to the mountain and Isaac carried the wood for the burnt offering on his back, up the hill. When they finally reached the place that God had shown to Abraham, Abraham was prepared to kill Isaac. But the angel of the Lord called to him and stopped him. He said, "Do not harm the boy. Now I know that you love and respect God because you were willing to give up your own son." At that instant, Abraham and Isaac saw that God had provided a ram that was caught in some bushes nearby to be a sacrifice instead of Isaac. The angel of the Lord told Abraham that because of his faith, one day God would use his descendants to bless the entire world. The main idea of today's story is that God blesses those who have faith. Abraham pleased God because he believed in the promises God made and showed that by how he lived. In fact, Abraham was so sure that God would keep the promise to give Abraham a big family that he even believed that if Isaac died, God would raise him from the dead. When we believe God's promises and obey His word like Abraham, the Bible calls this faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please God, but faith can make us right with God. Eventually, God did make Abraham's family into a huge nation of Israel, but one of his descendants in particular was used to bless the whole world. Do you know who it is? That's right! It's Jesus! Jesus was a descendant of Abraham. Thousands of years after Abraham lived, Jesus carried the wood of the cross on his back and went up the hill of Calvary. When he died on the cross, he was the sacrifice that God provided for the entire world, just like God provided the ram to die in place of Isaac. So, how can we be like Abraham? The answer is simple. Have faith in God and believe in the good news that whoever trusts in Jesus' death and resurrection will have eternal life and become part of God's family. What an amazing promise! Today's craft is an optical illusion of Abraham looking up into the night sky. Hey, it looks like it's one picture! What you'll need for today's craft is the principle, which you can find in the description below, coloring tools of your choice, scissors, a stick of some sort, some glue, and tape. First, color your printable. Make sure you fill in all the white spaces. Next, carefully cut out your 2 boxes. Take your tape and tape the stick down on the back side of one of your boxes. You'll want to tape it in 2 or 3 spots, maybe up here and also down there. Then glue your 2 boxes together. You can tape the bottom shut if you'd like. Now for the fun part. Roll the stick between your hands like you're warming your hands up. Ta-da! A simple optical illusion. Thanks for crafting with us. Bye!